All right, good morning and welcome. It's time for us to talk sport, and it's an exciting thing to do when you talk sport on global television. All the big stories making the rounds at the Olympics, where Nigeria is still trying to gather as much medals as they can. And also, we'll be looking at the transfer market and giving you all the big stories making the rounds as regards players moving from one club to the other. We'll also be talking about coaches trying to get national team jobs, just like Pochettino. And we'll be taking you to some players that are signing out from the game of football completely. Yes, we'll be taking you to Portugal. One big star is saying he's done with the game of football. These and other big stories is what we'll be sharing with you on today's edition of the program Talk Sport. But we'll begin where it matters most, talking about the 2024 Paris Olympics, where Nigeria is still getting medals, trying to win medals and trying to qualify for the finals. But this not too very pleasant story, but still talking about sportsmanship. In a display of sportsmanship, Nigerian cyclist S.A. Lovina received a crucial support from the German cycling team during the Paris Olympics, where Lucina, representing Team Nigeria, found herself in a difficult situation when she had no bicycle to race with the Keirin and a sprint event due to the short notice of her participation. Due to the short notice, she could not get the bike ready, and so she had to borrow a bike from the German team. Very, very sportsmanly of the German teams, but also a very bad reputation for Nigeria. Our cyclists not having the bike to race at the Olympics, what could be as that, but let us know, just to let you know that the gesture is of a goodwill from the German team, exemplifies the nature of the Olympic spirit, where athletes from different nations come together to support one another, regardless of their competitive rivalries. All right, that's talking about cycling there, where Nigerian cyclists had to borrow a bike from the German team to take part in her own event. All right, still talking the Olympics, let's take you to Brume. Yes, Brume is in the news this morning as it was a heartbreak continued for Nigeria at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris on Thursday, as S.A. Brume, yes, S.A. Brume, Ruth Osoro and Pristina Ochonogo missed out on the podium in the women's long jump event. Very sad commentary there. Brume, who won bronze at the Tokyo 2020, leaped 6.70 to finish fifth in the final, while Ruth Osoro and Ochonogo were 10th and 12th with jumps of 6.58 meters and 6.24 meters respectively. Let's also let you know that Tara Davis Woodhull of the United States climbed the gold. Yes, she claimed the gold with a jump of 7.1 meters, while Germany's Malaika Miahambo jumped 6.98 to bag the silver, and Jasmine Moore of the U.S. jumped a distance of 6.96 to claim the bronze medal. All right, just to give you an update as regards Nigerian athlete, let's tell you that yes, Adekuroye is out. Yes, Odunayo Adekuroye lost her quarterfinal women's wrestling 57-kilogram fight, narrowly missing out on the place in the semi-finals on Thursday. Her loss further blighted Nigeria's medal hopes in the event, following Blessing Oborodudu's futile quest for a medal in the women's freestyle 68 kilogram earlier this week, after defeating Fauzia Auzia by a VI victory in injury in the second round. Also on Friday, Odunayo was looking good in the quarterfinals against China's Qian Hong, leading 4-0 at some point, but the weighty Hong Kong came fighting back, scoring 8 points in quick succession and eventually winning the fight 10-8. Very sad commentary there. She lost to Sweden's Sofia Mattsson at the same stage in 2016 Olympics. That's a deja vu for Odunayo. Very, very sad story. She seems the jinx. All right, one more story before we join Prince Effiong Enebom Etete Enebong, who is joining us from London to give us some analysis of the performance of Nigerian athletes at the Olympics. Let's just give you this big story coming up as Nigeria prepares for the relay team today at the Olympics, where African Games gold medalist Chidi Okezie is confident that the members of Nigeria's men's 4x400 meters relay quartet will bring the baton home on good time as they regroup for the heat today. Let's also let you know that Okezie didn't make the semi-finals of the men's 400 meters event, placing fifth in a time of 46.92 seconds in the Farge. He had narrowly missed out on the automatic qualification in the event, running a time of 45.52 seconds, but placed fourth in the final first round. His compatriot Samuel Ogazi progressed to the final, and Okezie believes that their individual qualities will propel the team. They will be joined by two of Dubem Amene and Dubem Wanchuku and Emmanuel Ojeli. These are the teams making Team Nigeria. All right. Prince Effiong, thank you for joining us on Talk Sport this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, can be more audible. How are you doing? How is London doing as regards the protest across the city?
Well, the protest in London wasn't as dramatic, I guess, as some other parts of the country. We had a counter protest. So people that were counting, you know how it was funny because remember the Nigerian protest a few weeks ago, there was a lot of stories on social media which people are protesting to counter the protest. So the same thing happened in London and Bristol as well. I was in Bristol last week. There were the same protests, but you had a counter protest, and so when the counter protesters started, it sort of neutralized the other protests. But there are some other parts of the country that have been a bit wilder. But definitely in London, it was quite quiet. It wasn't. There was not much trouble. It was quite a peaceful protest. So yeah.
All right. Let's look at the government has also reached out to Premier League club sides and those in the Championship to try to talk to fans and people, the citizens, to dissuade people from the protest. How key is the government knowing fully well that the importance of football and the football clubs to help them douse the tension?
I mean, football is it's pretty much a major religion really in the world, isn't it? And it's a very good way to get your point across. If you think about it with the BLM as well, they're still taking the knee up to today for racism, and they did it during the BLM thing as well. Still, for the games, they still take a knee. It's a very, very powerful tool to use to spread your message. They haven't just used ball. I even got a text on my phone the other day, and the text basically, 2 days ago, telling me about the protest as well, just to bear in mind. So the government reached out to football clubs and various other organizations they did inform people just to be aware that this was going to happen. There was a huge police presence all over the place. I mean, if you were thinking of coming out to protest or do something dodgy or crazy during the protest, and you saw the amount of police around, definitely. But yeah, in terms of football is a very, very powerful way. I do commend the government for doing that because the message is got out. Yeah.
All right, let's look at Nigeria so far at the Olympics. Nigeria not doing so well in various sports, and even in the athletics, where we seem to be our strong point, we've been faltering. What's your take as regards Nigeria's performance so far at the Olympics? Are you disappointed?
I won't say I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed at all. These guys are the cream of the crop, the best of the best, just getting there in the first place to actually reach there means you're top in the world in terms of sports. So for those from Nigeria that have been there, they are the top athletes in the country. So it doesn't really matter what happens in the Olympic generally. You should have, for the athletes themselves, I would hope they have some individual pride in how far they've gone. I'm very, very supremely proud of them. However, it's like the story you told earlier about the bike from the German team or German player. It's obviously doesn't put us in a good light. It does show a very good light for the Olympics. I'm sure there's going to be social media videos of that for months and years to come. It's one of those kind of iconic moments. However, very, very important that Nigeria needs to up our game when it comes to things like this. I mean, these things become so normalized that it's terrible. I don't understand how it keeps happening over and over. There's always going to be some issue or this, but we need to actually drop our socks and really start to pay attention and see where, smell the roses, like I say, and see where the world is going. The rest of the world look after their most countries anyway. They do look after their people. Their athletes, and for a country as rich as Nigeria, it's unbelievable that this kind of thing can be happening.
All right, very sad commentary. What played out where the Nigerian cyclists had to borrow a bike from a German team. Let's get into the foreign scene as we take one story. I would like to get your views for each of the stories. We're beginning with Arsene Wenger, who fears that Gareth Southgate may have made a mistake by resigning from his role as England manager. Southgate called time on his career 2,849 days reign as the Three Lions boss less than 48 hours after his side had been beaten 2-1 by Spain in the final of the Euro 2024 championship in Germany. As Arsenal Southgate afterwards, however, he did not have a long conversation with the 53-year final and briefly interacted with him. Do you think Wenger is right when you say Gareth Southgate made a mistake resigning? Do you think Southgate was just in a hurry because of the loss? Obviously we can't really tell everything that is going on from, not being part of what's happening there, and, different stories come out in the press. My personal take on it is, first of all, I was surprised that he did resign. I didn't expect it so soon, but it makes me feel like there was something already happening. It was already going to happen. They already made a plan. If you lose this sort of thing, it feels to me like that. But also at the same time, I feel like, he's had two great opportunities to get really, really far at semi-finals and didn't win. I don't think that did well, even though it's a great achievement. It's always good when you get there to put your all. I think they did, but obviously things didn't go for them. But also, this last competition, if you think about it, personally, myself, I was a bit disappointed. There's some players who I didn't see playing. For instance, like the guy from Aston Villa that scored the goal during the semi-finals. What's his name again? Got the final goal. Oli Watkins. Yes, sorry, Oli. Yes. But basically, he didn't have enough time. My favorite, our Chelsea boy, never had a chance. He scored the semi-finals, came in the finals. Sorry, he assisted in the finals, in the semi-finals, and he scored in the finals. He didn't get much time as well. They left people like Kane there. Kane, yes, he's the captain, but I think it was obvious to everybody, the whole world, that he wasn't actually performing. Right from the start, it was very obvious. But why you kept him throughout that is still beyond understanding. And there's other players in the squad. So there's so many decisions and things he did, which I don't mind that he's gone, really, but I wasn't expecting it, really. And Arsene Wenger is a legend, so if he says that, I probably will stand with Arsene. All right, let's move on let's go to the next talking point. We're looking at Mikel Arteta. The report coming from London, the preseason for the Gunners, is a very interesting take by Mikel Arteta, where he conducted a very bizarre test on his players during an Arsenal team dinner in a bid to teach them a valuable lesson for the new season. He hired pickpocketers to pick valuable things from Arsenal players ahead of the season, trying to tell that if they don't get prepared, they're going to be pickpocketed by Man City or any other team, taking away the point, taking away the trophy. Do you think this is a very strategic move by Arteta? And do you think that's the best way to probably change the attitude of the Gunners always getting close but never winning?
Well, the end will justify the means, like they say. So we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But judging from last year, if he did a fantastic job, if he carries on and does exactly the same as he did, and if that's what he's doing with this sort of education, and he hasn't changed his style and all that, then I really think they have a chance this year, actually, if I'm being quite honest. They are maturing. It's a lot of still, even though they're not as young as Chelsea, but they are probably the second most youngest squad. and they've got a lot of experience this year. They went really far. I was so impressed with them. The years I've seen an Arsenal play that good. I'm a bit worried for Chelsea this year because of that, but I think Arteta has proved his math. Like you say, his management skills by what he's done, the job he's done, and I wouldn't have any problem with his. I wouldn't have any problem with the way he's training his squad. Definitely, I mean, I do understand. I understand that kind of training. It's fun. It's innovative. And it leaves an impact on the players. You know, it's different from typically what you'd expect. So perhaps it's quite refreshing. But I do trust Arteta, yeah.
Let's take you to Spain, where Atletico Madrid reportedly tried to pull out of a move for Chelsea star Conor Gallagher, according to the sporting director of the rival La Liga club. Chelsea are closing in on a £33.7 million sale of the England international, who is set to undergo medical in Spain. The Blues are also finalizing a £34.5 million deal for striker Samu Omorodion, who would head in the opposite direction. However, Valencia sporting director Miguel Angel Corona has claimed to the Spanish press that he was told by Atletico that they were trying to pull out of a move for Gallagher. Let's look at this is Chelsea news now, which is your favorite team. Do you think that shows that Gallagher is not well appreciated? First of all, are you okay that Enzo Maresca was willing to ship out Gallagher that seemed to have found his form?
You're very, very correct. Gallagher has found his form towards the end of last year. However, I don't really think towards the end of last season. Sorry, but I don't think I really don't think Gallagher is a Chelsea player. Really, I love him for his commitment and his hard work. You know, every game he plays, you know what you get. He'll graft, he'll put in the effort, he'll go for all the balls, he'll do all that. But he's not a goal scorer. He's just on a certain level as well. Now, we also forget he's still quite young. So who knows? You know, Chelsea has shipped out quite a lot. They shipped out Lukaku, they shipped out Kevin De Bruyne, they shipped out Mo Salah. You know, so the chances are that he'll turn out to be like one of these people in the future. However, I think it's the right decision in a way, because I think I don't think he is quite up to that world-class standard for Chelsea now. It doesn't mean I think the other player, there's quite a lot of players. In fact, yesterday, it's funny, I went to Stamford Bridge yesterday, just did a tour on my own. I was just passing and I thought, what are you going? And I saw there was this boards they have outside the stadium, and they had all these players and their faces and their names. And there was about 6 or 7 of them. I only recognized Cole Palmer. The other ones, I don't know any of them. I don't know any of these players, you know. Gallagher, I know. However, I do think the coach decision, the manager's decision is right to ship him out. I think he's not 100% there for like a Chelsea player as well. But I do think he's a class player. Definitely, he's a class. And I hope that maybe in the future, one day he'll come back. You know, when he gets a little bit better as well, or when he gets a bit more experience after he goes abroad and comes back.
You're talking about coming back. We know that the 24-year-old star at a point did not want to go to Atletico, and at a point even turned down extension of his contract at Chelsea before this reversal. Do you think with how Chelsea has treated him, technically forcing him out of Stamford Bridge, he would want to come back?
I mean, he is British, isn't he? He's from his country. So ultimately, you expect that at a certain point, after he's played abroad, he'll probably want to come back. He's still going to remain in the national team, I believe. And I think he's the real proper old school kind of player. He might stay abroad, who knows, but I do have a feeling he will come back to England. But whether he'll come to Chelsea, I'm not 100% sure. But I'm just hoping that if he turns out to be like a De Bruyne or you know, like Palmer is still young, but Mo Salah and all that, then definitely we want him back.
All right, let's wish him the very best of luck. But your sincere assessment of Chelsea, the preseason games played, Enzo Maresca's tactics, and for this new season, you said you have the belief that Arsenal is one of those that might win the English Premier League. Is there any chance for Chelsea to come within top 4?
I think we had a call like this a while ago, and I was saying how I felt Chelsea were probably going to do better this year. I think I have a little bit changed my mind after this preseason, just from the form they've been showing in the games. It's just been quite terrible. And what compounds it for me is that I think it was Casado, who I saw in the paper, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, making a comment and blaming the pitch in these places where they're playing for the reason why they're losing games. And I'm thinking to myself, hello, my friend, when you start playing football, what kind of pitches were you playing in? You were probably playing without shoes or sandals like kids do, on the road, concrete, grass. And now you're a professional in one of the greatest teams in the world. You're saying that the reason your team is not doing well is that the grass in the pitch was a bit of a problem. So when I hear things like that, it did worry me a bit. I'm like, that's just somebody making excuses. I don't like that at all, personally. I don't like people making excuses like that. But judging for, and also, like I said to you the other day, I'm not too sure the reasons for this new manager. If he wasn't on my choice, I don't really know him. It's not the kind of management choices Chelsea typically have, I think. But if you judge it based on the preseason friendlies, then it's not looking very good for Chelsea. But I do think, how we started last year, we started with very poor form through the season, and all the predictions were that Chelsea would be in the first sort of 6 or 7. Eventually, we got there, but it took the whole season to do it. So hopefully this year, if they can improve a little bit on that, it might be better. But I don't know if I have that much hope in that improvement, because the squad is still very young. There's not too much experience, and there's quite a lot of flair. I think youths have a lot of flair in them. They're not really thinking more of like an experienced player, I would think, at the moment. But let's see what happens. You never know. But like somebody said years ago, you can't really win much with kids, didn't they? So we'll see what happens.
Let's move on to one of the biggest teams in England. Let's talk about Old Trafford, where a football finance expert believes Manchester United were close to bridging the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules last season, but managed to comply with the top flight restrictions thanks to 2 exceptional allowances. Everton were twice sanctioned by the Premier League for falling foul of their financial restrictions and were deducted of a total of 8 points for 2 separate charges. Nottingham Forest were also handed a 4-point penalty for admitting to breach of league's rules. PSR has caused chaos in the top flight, but now it seems some big teams are always allowed to get away with murder, so to say. Manchester United, Man City. What do you think is playing out here?
I really don't know myself, because the news throughout most of last year was that it was Man City actually that was mostly in the news, that they were going to be deducted points. This will happen. And nothing has happened, and the smaller teams like Everton, and I think there was another team as well that got deducted some points as well. It's I don't want to go into too much politics on a lot of football. Like, that's why the ones I don't really understand, and whether big teams have more or smaller teams. But it's how it happens in life in general, isn't it? They have money to afford the better lawyers, the better things, and all that. So maybe that's why they don't get into that sort of situation. But on the other hand, on another note, in a way, when from what I've seen, obviously, if you judge from Everton, sometimes when these teams get these deductions, it motivates everybody and boosts everybody, and the players and the club, and everybody's excited and playing well again. So I don't know, but we still don't know. We'll see what. I think also perhaps if they were going to do something like that, it's probably better to do it before the season starts. Like deducting the points so that it starts with minus rather than when the season has actually started as well. But that's all I can really say about it. I don't know much more than that.
All right, let's look at this weekend. We're going to be having the Community Shield between Manchester United and the Blue Side of Manchester. Who do you think is going to carry the day? And how important is this Community Shield, looking at the rivalry between these 2 great teams?
Oh, well, it's more important, I think, for United to start well, because City has been consistent for, forever. So United is more important for them to start. City won the league. A couple of years ago, they won the treble. So they are always the big dogs. But I think for United, it's more important for them to have a good start. to motivate their players by winning the trophy. And in a way, I do feel that might be the case. Usually with this, I always felt with this community shield, it seems to be the underdog that tends to win sometimes, not all the time, but because in a way, City, you feel like they will probably win. They could win the Champions League, they could win Premier League, they could win FA Cup, Carling Cup, whatever. It's Carling Cup, the other cup, they could win any of that. So any other team that gets into like a community shield that might not feel they might win anything through the season, you want to make sure you win in the community shield at least, so that even if nothing happens, then at least you have a trophy. But United did win a trophy last year. Was it the FA Cup, wasn't it? Or the other cup?
Yeah, the FA Cup.
Yeah, the FA Cup. So that was an achievement, which is still understated, obviously, for Ten Hag. But I feel I don't know actually. It's a bit tricky who I think is going to win this time. But I would think United have more reason to win. City have more know-how, more experience. They can just go in there, and if you're not on your game, they'll just win, even if they're not on form. But if United are really, really on their game, then they have a bigger chance.
Prince Effiong, we'll go for a quick break. When we return in 5 minutes, we'll urge you to rejoin us so that we can take on the other second half of the program when we talk about transfer market and other big stories making the rounds.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns and victories. Talk Sports with the King of Sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out. Beautiful work.
I want to go further to congratulate you on being on DSTV 365. Yeah, channel 365 is an awesome thing. Congratulations, and I will enjoy each and every one to keep on watching Global TV.
This is Global TV. For your current affairs, for your current information, ideas, education, entertainment news at the best. Channel 365 on DSTV. You have just come alive into a new phenomenon in the media industry. Keep watching. Stay tuned.
Keep watching Global Television on DSTV channel 365 for your news and all national issues and international breaking news. Watch Global TV.
It's time time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk Sports with the King of Sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Beautiful work from the wingers.
All right, welcome back from the break. You're still watching Talk Sport on Global Television, and we're giving you all the big stories making the rounds in the exciting world of sport, from the Olympics to the transfer market, and definitely we still have more big stories making the rounds. So we're still joined by Prince Effiong Onebom, who is in London, giving us a very balanced analysis of all the big stories, from the protests in the United Kingdom to the preparations of teams at the English Premier League. All right, Prince Effiong, thank you for rejoining us back on Talk Sport.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, let's move on to the transfer market, where Tottenham are in advanced talks with Bournemouth over Dominic Solanke, with the striker keen to seal the big money move. Mail Sports understands, according to the Athletics, that Solanke has already agreed personal terms with Spurs ahead of a club record deal for the Cherries. The 26-year-old is contracted to the Vitality Stadium until 2029, but a hefty release clause worth £65 million can be triggered for a number of clubs. Spurs have been keen to strengthen in the number 9 position this summer, and Solanke, who played for Liverpool between 2017 and 2019, emerged as the prime target. He scored 19 goals in the Premier League last season, his best return in the top flight, and helped push Bournemouth to an impressive 12th place finish. Liverpool hold a 20% sell-on clause after Solanke left to join Bournemouth for an undisclosed fee, and could receive as much as £9 million. Let's look at Dominic Solanke. Happens to have Nigerian roots. Do you see him succeeding in Tottenham Hotspur, looking at how Tottenham plays?
I do see him like he's going to succeed in any club he goes to, because well, there is a little bit of element there, that maybe 90%, and the reason I say that is because playing for a club like Bournemouth, who don't really have all the money and don't have all the major stars, however, being able to score that many goals, I mean, there's two things that could be happening here. One is that probably the team is set up for him to score. Usually, you know, when you're in this kind of smaller teams, it's set up like that because they don't have many goal scorers around. So if they have one goal scorer, they'll target the person, target all the players, all the ball. You know, when you watch a movie and the manager says, pass to Dominic, and they tell everybody, give it to Dominic. So basically, that could be a reason why there's so many goals. However, I feel like the Premier League is a very, very difficult league to play. And if you're playing for a smaller team, smaller club, with not as many stars, and you're still able to score that many goals, then I think you are really you're really a good player. So I think Tottenham, they had, you know, they play similar. They have a similar, not similar to Bournemouth, but if you think about over the last few years where they've had Harry Kane, they've always had that target man, and he's scored. You know, he's the highest top goal scorer in the whole country at the moment. Yeah, and also he's in the top of all time. He's getting high on the list. So if they carry on, if they play Dominic like they played Harry Kane, I think the chances are he'll probably even score quite a lot more goals, actually, because I think he's more I do feel he might be more prolific given the opportunity. Yeah.
All right, looking at the amount being paid, do you think it's worth that value? Last
These
season
days,
was the only season he was on fire.
he was on fire last season, but these days in football, the amount of money they pay for players, I don't even know how they judge this money anymore. I don't know, but everybody seems everything. There's inflation. I guess is also happening in football. So but I think he's. I don't think he's a good player. I don't know if I'll say he's a world class or a great player yet because he needs to achieve a few things. But I do think he's definitely a good player. I think he's worth the money, considering what they've paid for some other players. I mean, Chelsea. Sorry, I don't mean to say so. Chelsea played
I
for-
wanted to ask you, he also left Chelsea. What's wrong with Chelsea? Is it like Chelsea is not a patient team that can allow people blossom? Why do they seem to always sell out their best hands?
I think they just have a lot of money over time, and they have a lot of players. And then over the season, a lot of players don't get to play as much, and they are what they call it something for requirements, surplus to requirements. I think a lot of the heat comes from the players who are not playing, and they don't want to stay there and not play. Because you're in a team like Chelsea already, then obviously you are very good to a level. If a big club has already come for you, but you're not getting game time, then even though you're in a big club, nobody knows you're playing well, nobody can see you. And for a player, if you really are into your football and that's what you love doing, then you'll be disappointed. You'll be devastated that you can't play. So I think that's why they all leave and find somewhere better to play. And we don't also know all the offers that come in for the players, because what we see on the papers are the ones they choose to show us, and not everything. So you don't actually know exactly what offers are coming in, enticing these players all the time. I think, So that's my take on that. Yeah.
All right, let's take you to Anfield, where Liverpool are pushing hard to convince European Championship winner in Martin Zubimendi to join the club. But the Reds are fighting against an intense charm of offensive from top executives at Real Sociedad. It emerged on Wednesday that Zubimendi, the 25-year-old defensive midfielder, had been earmarked as a top target for and a slot, and the new sporting director Richard Hughes to improve the number 6 position at Liverpool. Zubimendi has a release clause of 60 million euros. What's your take as regards Liverpool trying to convince Zubimendi? Liverpool is a big team. Should they be trying to convince players, a player who is not really a world-class player, to come to their team, rather than the player should be happy to jump at the offer of Liverpool?
I mean, I do feel if the club as big as Liverpool is going for a player, then they would. You expect they would have done their research to make sure the player is a good fit for their team and that he's going to be a good fit. With Zubimendi, I do think being the first target for Liverpool's transfer market this season, I think that should make it easier for them to be the best team not the best team for him to go, but the one he might choose, because maybe all the other teams that are coming for him already have other players that they're buying. I don't think Liverpool have made any purchases yet. I think it's the first one they're supposed to make, and so that will make him feel a bit special. I think, I saw it on the papers. They did say that was their first purchase, and that should make him feel special. But I don't think. If I was a player and I had an opportunity to go to Liverpool, I probably will go because of the status of the club itself. Definitely, I would go, and I think they've obviously built a very good squad over the last few years. They still have quite a number of players, so it's going to be difficult in terms of positions if there's other people playing in the role he's supposed to play. This is not Klopp, so I don't know also about this new manager. Or coach, or I don't know what they call this one. These days, you don't know some are coaches, head coach, managers. But so I don't know what if it was Klopp, you could say, okay, maybe this, that. But maybe he's trying to shape the whole squad, and maybe he has also played with Zubimendi somewhere else. This tends to happen when managers move to a new place. They tend to bring sometimes players who they have faith in. So we don't know that, but perhaps if I was him, I'll definitely go to Liverpool. By the way, I like his name.
Just your take on Liverpool as the new season begins. Some have said Liverpool is already on fire with a new coach. He seemed to have continued where Jurgen Klopp stopped. With the preseason matches, they've been winning and they've been scoring great goals. Do you think Liverpool have got the right man in the helm of affairs in the person of Arne Slot?
I've read about him and I've seen him in some previous games in the past. Like I was saying as well about these big clubs, you would expect that clubs of this size do their due diligence very well and would be sure of who they are bringing into the club, especially when you have somebody like Jurgen Klopp leaving, who was a massive personality. You don't definitely want to replace that with somebody who's not going to be up to par. So we'd have to have faith. But he's not particularly one of the bigger names, but I don't know whether Klopp was that much of a big name as well. I mean, he had won things before he came to Liverpool. I always wish managers, personally myself, I always wish them well, because that's probably one of the most difficult jobs in the world to do. I know people don't really realize it, but managing a football team is a great, really stressful job. So, and for the sake of my brother, who's watching, who's a Liverpool fan, I would say maybe they have made a good choice.
All right, nice one there. But for your take for this season, do you see Liverpool being a title contender this season?
Well, they're always title contenders, actually. To be honest, since Klopp brought the club up to a certain level, and obviously, and they still have the most titles. They have won more than United still.
Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool still have won. I think they are 33. United is 32. But I do feel, I don't know actually this particular season, because it's a new management, that always causes some sort of problems. There's going to be players who don't want to be there anymore because that other guy has gone, and he's going to choose his own players. So there's going to be a bit of discontent sort of in the camp. But like I said, I wish him well, but I think it might be a bit tricky for him. It would be very difficult for him to win his first season, not when you have all these other people, like they said, Arteta and all the people who have been putting grafting all this time to get there. So it's going to be a tough job for him, very tough.
All right, let's take you to the Olympics, where Laila's Olympic rival is talking this morning as Olympic track star Kenny Bednarek addressed his rival Noah Lailas competing in the 200 meters final with COVID. Lailas needed to be wheeled out of the track at the Paris Olympics on Thursday after finishing third behind fellow American Bednarek. In a post-race press conference, the silver medalist said he wasn't too sure what was going on with his teammate. Bednarek also noted he's been minding his own business in the Olympic Village and wasn't sure whether COVID could be running rampant. Meanwhile, Lailas said he had no regret over competing despite the inevitable risk of spreading the virus to other athletes who he hugged and shook hands with after the race. How do you see this story panning out? The American athlete, you obviously knowing he had COVID, still going on to compete, still going ahead to hug and shake hands. Shouldn't he be disciplined or fined?
Well, he should. You see, it's what they call a catch-22. So it's got two sides to it. On the one hand, he should be commended for making the efforts, going to the competition with the illness and all that sort of stuff, because it's obviously not easy to do that. It shows his commitment, his zeal and zest and all that sort of stuff. However, on the other hand, yes, he probably should be punished, I think, because it's not good practice.
Because we're talking health here.
We're talking health, and you know that it's likely to be infectious. So even if you're going to be there, you want to make sure everybody knows. You want to be isolated sometimes, so you don't want to be shaking people or causing situations where somebody else might contract it. So it's a catch-22. On the one hand, yes, you've gone and done this considering the situation, but however, maybe you shouldn't have done some of those things like you did as well. But it's a very funny story, really. It's
very funny story. That was the idea of bringing it up for talk. Let's take you back to Old Trafford. We've got some very interesting story too. Last season, there were more than 60 separate case of injury, and after training on Thursday, Ten Hag revealed that 4 defenders, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, have question marks over their fitness ahead of Saturday's Community Shield. Summer signing Lenny Yoro, who arrived there from Lille in £59 million deal, is out for 3 months following surgery on the foot problem, while left-back Tyrell Malacia, who missed the entire of the 2023-2024 campaign, continues as a non-factor. It means 17-year-old Harry Amas, who broke out as a star across the tour of the US this summer, may be pushed into the toughest test yet should he get the nod at Wembley against Manchester City on Saturday. Let's look at the issue of Ten Hag. He's been consistent giving young lads the chance to stake a claim. And we've seen him bring out Manu, Garnacho. Do you think this is going to be another successful throwing of the dice by Ten Hag? Talking about Harry Amas, the young lad, 17-year-old.
I do think so. I think he's on the right track, because one of the things I mentioned earlier about Chelsea, where we're talking about a player who's not up to Chelsea sort of standards. I feel I want to go with Jose Mourinho, who said that a lot of the players at United were not up to par for playing in United as well. It's a similar sort of situation. I mean, when you said that, I was thinking, as Harry Maguire and all these people, and the Luke Shaw and all, have they not been injured since the beginning of last season anyway? It's like they've been injured for quite a while. Well, I mean, obviously I'm on this, so I'm not going to be biased towards them. But I believe that he is doing the right thing. I think he's had some time to understand the squad now, know the players he has. It's very difficult. It must be very difficult for him to get rid of some of those players, because I would have got rid of some of those players myself if I was the manager. But I would have tried anyway. I think he did try. I just think that politics in football somehow has not let him do that, because these are definitely England internationals. I'm not saying they're not good players. Of course, they're great players, but after a while, you have to make way for the new fresh blood, like they say, get rid of the old. And they still carry a lot of baggage from years before, which they haven't got rid of. So it's still a problem. You see it in still games even now with United sometimes. But in all, I think if you think of judge from Garnacho, like you say, Main and some of these younger players at United, they are probably outperforming most other younger players in most other squads who have had similar time in the squads as well. And with Main, for sure, he went straight to England. He went straight to the European competition from playing how many games towards the end of the season. So he seems to have a way of motivating the younger players. So I think he definitely knows what he's doing.
All right, we have less than 10 minutes to talk sport. Let's quickly run through some of the other stories. We know that David De Gea has agreed a deal with Fiorentina for the former Manchester United goalkeeper prepares to finally return to competitive football. According to reports, the former Spain international has been on football cold front for over a year since his contract at Old Trafford expired in June last year. Do you think this shows how much world football recognizes and probably rates David De Gea, the fact that it took him a year to get a club?
Is it just world football? Doesn't everybody rate De Gea? I mean, I would have thought everybody did. I think he's one of the most fantastic things that goalkeepers ever come out of football. He kept United on in the Premier League and as a club for how many years? I mean, there was a time he was the only person recognizable that was actually making any sort of effort. Without him in the post,
true,
they wouldn't have. They would have almost relegated. Really, I know he retired, and that's probably why he took a break before coming back again, because he needed the rest. After playing for, I mean, he just started to go taking shots every day. But yeah, I'm happy that he's getting back to football. I really appreciate it. I mean, I still love Peter Cech more, but I really do. I would love to see him playing again, and I'll definitely watch him off his game. He's a fantastic player.
A quick one. Pochettino is discussing to become the United States men's national team coach. Good move for Pochettino.
Yes, yes, it is. I think a good move. And the reason why is because he has the some of the managers we've mentioned, like Ten Hag, where they've been good with youths and certain kinds of squads. Pochettino probably hasn't won as many things, but he's proved them able to manage some teams without the best resources and with good without the best resources or with younger players like he did with Chelsea. And he has some skills there. Managing the team like the US probably will work very well for him. They are not particularly biggest footballing nation in the world, or they play more. They play football,
All right.
but obviously they have their yeah.
All
So
right,
I think
let's
it's I
wrap
think
up the program with the talk about Pepe retiring from football. Pepe has announced his retirement from football at the age of 41 as the Portuguese star brings a curtain down on a glittering career. The defender most recently represented Portugal in Euro 2024, missing only one of the group matches during the tournament and playing the whole 120 minutes alongside Cristiano Ronaldo in their quarter-final defeat by France. Pepe is widely regarded as one of the best defenders of the 21st century after winning 34 trophies and playing a total of 878 games with his combative and all-time ill-disciplined defending, providing nightmare for opposition attackers to deal with. How much do you miss Pepe?
well, just from those stats you mentioned alone, you can tell what a formidable player he's been. He's an iconic player as well. He's one of those players that you see once or twice and you remember every time you see them. I think he's had a great career. I'm very happy for him, and to reach 41 still playing as well is that's like me going to play football now. That's absolutely fantastic. I hope the other players might be able to emulate him, and I wish him the best of success in whatever he decides to do going forward.
All right, we've got Ronaldo already saying congratulations to Pepe. And are you surprised Pepe is hanging the boot and Ronaldo is still playing?
Oh no, I'm not surprised. I think Ronaldo might pass 41 if he wants to. Ronaldo might could literally play till 45, 46 if he actually wanted to, because there's leagues where he could play. There's teams that will take him, and he seems to be very, very fit, even though he didn't have the best of competitions this last European competition.
Right.
But yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Prince Effiong. Thank you for joining me on TalkSport this morning, and thank you for your very humorous analysis of some stories. And we hope in the coming days you'll be joining us more to get us more updates as regards sports, especially the Premier League update when the Premier League kick starts out there in London. Thank you very much for your time, and we urge you to enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you very much. I obviously, when the season starts as well, I'll be attending quite a lot of games. I do beam them live from my TikTok, which is at EFIOM, which is my name, obviously. I have some of the protests and some of the football things there as well. So feel free to have a look when the season starts.
All right, thank you very much. So that's how we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program Talk Sport on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu, the King of Sport. Let's do this again tomorrow.